Welcome to today's webinar, Understand Coaching. My name is Carrie and I am the Recruitment and Admissions Manager of the MBA program here in RSM. Today, we are very honored to have Hetty Brand-Boswijk, Director of Coaching of RSM, to be our speaker today and to share more experience and ideas about coaching. Hetty, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience today?
I most certainly would. And thank you, Carrie. Thank you for inviting me to do this webinar today. I'm really excited to see all of you. Actually, I'm not seeing you, you're seeing me, but having a large screen on my computer with all your faces would be lovely, but I'd rather focus on what I want to share with you today. So, as Carrie says, my name is Hetty Brand-Boswijk. I'm originally from the UK. But I've been living in the Netherlands now for over 40 years, and I've been with RSM in different functions over the years for nearly 35 years. And for the last 10, 12 years, I have been working on bringing coaching to RSM, particularly in our MBA programs. And I'm really excited to be with you today to talk a little bit more about coaching in MBA, because it's one of my favorite topics in the world. So hopefully I'll get you enthusiastic about it and you'll want to learn more about coaching in MBA program and particularly how we work with that at RSM. So before we move on, I would like to know a little bit about you. And one of those things is we're going to have a poll just now, and this is what we're going to be covering today. So what coaching is, types of coaching, who our coaches are, and we'll have a Q&A at the end. However, if you have a relevant question as I'm speaking, I'll stop every now and then to see if there are any questions that I can answer in between time. So please put that in the Q&A. So, Carrie, I would like to start our first poll because I'm really curious as to whether our participants have received coaching before. Ooh, I love it. I love these polls. You see all these answers flying in.
Exactly. Great. See so many answers coming in. Wow. All right. Are we almost there?
We're almost there, I think. Just
Still growing the number.
coming in. We're almost there. Okay, so what I can see already now is that there is a difference between the yeses and the nos, but it's nice to see actually that 58% who already has received coaching, and the 42%, okay, so I challenge you to stay curious because we're going to talk about that today. Now, coaching is a word that is used for many, many things. So I just want to go a little bit deeper for those of you who have said yes, whether you've received coaching. My next question is, what kind of coaching? Because we talk about sports coaching, career, life, and this is something you can do a multiple choice here. So if there's been more than one type of coaching that you've received, let's see there what the different percentages are. Okay. So that's fascinating. We're coming through almost neck and neck between life coaching and career coaching. Nope, life coaching starting to win.
They're also quite related. That's why people may do it even both.
Absolutely. So really great to see that 24% has had team coaching. It's nice to see that that's part of your experience. And sports coaching, okay, cool. Yeah, I think we're about done on that one as well. Thank you, Carrie. So,
Do you see the
coaching,
results?
I can see the results, yes. Life coaching wins it on 48%. And what I really love about that is that life coaching is about coaching the whole person, whereas career coaching is often focused on the professional development and can sometimes include advice. And that's something that I want to talk about in a little bit more detail, because life coaching or coaching that we do at RSM in the MBA programs doesn't give advice. So what does that mean? So let me move on to my next slide. What is coaching? So I've always really liked using this cartoon because it's like, no, I said I wanted a really good coach. The origin of the word coach is the 16th century Hungarian word koci, meaning to transport people from where they are to where they want to be. And of course, that is exactly what coaching does. You're in the here and now, and coaching is future-faced, looking at what you need, maybe what behaviors you need to do differently, etc., to get you where you want to be. So it's a great word. And it is also relevant for all the other types of coaching that were on that list just now, and probably more. So at RSM, and in general, coaching from professional certified coaches is a way of developing skills and abilities to boost motivation and performance, but it can also help with issues and challenges before they become major problems. So it's like shining a spotlight on maybe limiting beliefs or limiting behaviors and sparring with someone on how to change those or shift a perspective. Coaching sessions typically take place as a conversation between the coach and the coachee. That's a word that's used nowadays for the person being coached. And it focuses on helping the coachee discover answers for themselves. So people are more likely to engage with solutions that they've come up with themselves rather than those suggested to them, i.e. in the form of advice. So advice is great, particularly when you're looking at that from a mentor or someone, but remember, it's their lived experience. And for it to something to resonate with you, it needs to become your lived experience. So sometimes, not as much nowadays, but sometimes coaching is still seen as a corrective tool, used only when things have gone wrong. And I remember, this is like 15, 20 years ago now, but coaching used to be put in, we have a problem employee, and we don't know what to do with them anymore. We've tried everything. HR is involved. Let's get them a coach and see if we can fix them. And of course, we don't fix people. Coaching nowadays is a positive and proven approach for helping others explore their goals and ambitions and then achieve them. So more often than not nowadays, coaching is used for high potentials, which is, of course, why we have it in our RSM MBA programs, because all our students are high potentials. The mission statement of the International Coaching Federation, which is the largest global accrediting federation for coaches, is that coaching is a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires people to maximize their personal and professional potential, which is particularly important in today's uncertain and complex environment. And that is the basis from which we use coaching in our MBA programs. Now, just to help you realize if you haven't been coached before, or if you've had a certain kind of coaching where you have been given advice, this is just a quick comparison of coaching in other disciplines and where the differences are. So the focus of the work, you see that with a mentor, a consultant, a therapist, and a coach, particularly the difference between therapy and coaching, a therapist deals with the past, a coach deals with the present and is future facing. So a coach may ask you something about your past just to help you learn where maybe a limiting belief came from, but they are focused on helping you do something different, change that behavior in the future if that's what you want to do. The relationship is different, the process is different, and the anticipated result is also different. So even though people have said to me while I've been coaching them, your questions sound very much like my therapist, the process is similar, the questions are similar, but the reason, the focus that I am with my coachee and not with my patient or is very different. For instance, as a coach, I will not diagnose anything. I may have ideas about things, but I keep those to myself because the coaching process is all about the coachee, i.e. our students. So speaking of our students, we have 3 types of coaching and RSM in the MBA programs. In the full-time MBA program, we have team coaching, and in the executive MBA program, we have group coaching, and I'll explain the difference between those two just now. And all our students have individual leadership coaching. So for instance, if you were to register and become a student of our full-time MBA program, you would have team coaching throughout the program within the auspices of our personal leadership development program and the living management project. And you would have individual leadership coaching. And I hope you will join us for our seminars, for our webinars next week and the week after. So Tuesday afternoons at 2 o'clock. Because next week we have a faculty member coming to talk about the personal leadership development program. And the following week, I've invited an alumna to come and talk to us about the impact of coaching on her life and her professional growth. So how does coaching actually work? Well, team coaching, so that's in the full-time MBA program, guides your team to build a strong, resonant, and successful unit and provides a stronger awareness of each individual's motivation and character within a team environment, and helps you to understand the process of the essential elements of efficient and effective leadership, as well as understanding team performance and your individual impact on the team processes. So this is about a team that is performing together and performing in different ways. It's not just getting a good grade for an assignment. It's also about motivating and empowering each other to be the best team that you can be. Group coaching, on the other hand, and this is in the executive MBA program, is peer-based learning. So growth and innovation to build strong and effective individuals who energize and enhance one another. So there's a little bit of a different approach to this, where peer-to-peer coaching takes part and enhancing the collective intelligence and wisdom by tapping into and celebrating the diversity of style, character, perspectives, and contributions. If you know anything about RSM MBA programs, you know that all our programs, we work in teams and we have a great deal of diversity in the teams. And team coaching and group coaching really does help to develop a sense of empowerment in who you are within that broad, culturally diverse perspective. So in both, you learn to manage challenging group conversations and dynamics, and learning from real life issues that are brought to the conversations, as well as learning to be comfortable with ambiguity. So one of the things I love to tell people is that because coaching can be uncomfortable, and if it is, then usually it's working, because there is no learning in the comfort zone and there is no comfort in the learning zone. So when you're in the learning zone at RSM MBA, we're going to help you get uncomfortable, but we'll make you comfortable while you're doing it. So individual coaching, we call it leadership coaching because it's about helping you focus on leading your own life and the impact of your personal life on others in a leadership position, which is why it's also part of our personal leadership development program. Now, the individual leadership coaching is optional, but students are always strongly encouraged to make use of the sessions available to them during the program. It's a relationship between you and your coach, focusing on future possibilities and helping you discover, clarify, and align with what you want to achieve. And it's accomplished through encouraging self-discovery, eliciting self-generated solutions, as I mentioned before, and it enhances your personal leadership performance and development. It's also important to realize that it helps to build self-awareness, self-confidence, motivation based on positive behaviors, empathy, and social skills. And these are all important leadership traits. So, Carrie, I'm just wondering whether we have any questions that have come up already.
Yes, we have a couple of questions. The first question is pretty straightforward. Is it possible to share the slides after the webinar? We are going to share the recording of this webinar, and on this recording, you can see all these slides. Is it correct, Hattie?
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. Another question, I think, is about the clarification of different kind of coaching. And the participant asked here, from the descriptions provided for coaching, can we say that coaching is akin to mentorship?
Yes and no. So I'll try and clarify for you. So many mentors that I know also are coaches, and I myself am a mentor as well as a coach. There is a subtle difference. When one is a mentor or when one is looking for a mentor, very often that is someone who is maybe a bit older, has a bit more life experience, likely has experience in a professional area that you're interested in. So a mentor can give you information about that particular professional area. They can give you the benefit of their expertise, and they may advise you in a certain way. But they're likely to do that from a coaching perspective. So they will ask, you know, sort of open, powerful questions to find out more what it is you need. So in the mentoring relationship, both mentor and mentee are an important part of the relationship. And there is a focus on what one can give and the other can take. And sometimes that's actually both ways, because from mentoring, I also receive something. In a coaching relationship, I don't matter. As a coach, my expertise, okay, it matters to the coachee that I am a trained and certified coach and that I know what I'm doing within the coaching relationship. But it's not about me. It's about the coachee. And my job is to ensure that the focus remains on you as the coachee. Of course, my expertise, my life experience, my wisdom that's all in my head and in my heart will be part of, will inform the questions that I ask you. But I am not going to share with you any of my life experience. I won't be giving advice as a coach, and I won't be sharing anything that has to do with me. So coaching is very much focused on the individual, and all you need from your coach is a solid background in coaching skills. And one of the things I mentioned before is that I'm going to move on now, Carrie, to the next slide. So I'll come back to some more questions later. I hope that answered the question a little bit about the difference between coaching and mentoring. And speaking of the coaches, we have a team of professional associates, and our coaches are all the individual and team group coaching at RSM is carried out by certified coaches, credentialed by the International Coaching Federation, and they are affiliated with us as professional associates. So what is really important to mention here with regards to the difference between a coach and a mentor does not need to be certified or credentialed. Whereas a professional coach, if you're trusting someone with your most innermost thoughts and dreams and wishes, etc., you'll want to know that that person knows what they're doing as a coach. And that is why we only use certified coaches and credentialed coaches that have credentials from the International Coaching Federation. For those of you who know coaching, there are other coaching federations out there, but ICF is the one that is the most global and the one that's most well known. And as we have a global community at RSM, that is the one we chose for as far as our coaches' credentialing is concerned. ICF leads the way in developing a definition and philosophy of coaching and establishes ethical standards amongst its members and sets professional coaching standards. That philosophy of coaching and the ethical standards are what we adhere to and maintain within our coaching at RSM. Our coaches are therefore accountable to uphold the following ethical values: integrity, excellence, collaboration, and respect. And that's important for us for the simple reason that this aligns with how we want to be with our students and how we want to role model how our students are with each other. So another thing that we hope will come out of team and group coaching and maybe individual coaching is that you also learn the leadership skill of coaching. And because using a perspective from where you're less interested in giving your opinion and telling people what to do, but as a leader, empowering others to be the best they can be, the coaching approach is important in that. And the integrity, the excellence, the collaboration, and respect we require of our coaches and of ourselves is also something that we role model for our students. And we look for that within our student body. And the coaching helps with that because it gives you as students an opportunity to actually experience that firsthand with the guidance, the facilitation of our professional associates. So I'm open for questions. Carrie, what have you got for me?
Thank you very much, Hetty. And everyone, if you have any questions regarding coaching or coaching at RSM, please, you can put it in the Q&A box. We have a question here. I hope that I will understand better, but I think, Hetty, you will understand better. Do professional coaches specialize in subjects other than professional coaching?
Nice question. I think what you may be referring to is a niche. And yes, many coaches do specialize within a particular niche. So the niches that come up often are because of someone's own personal experience. So it's probably easiest just to tell you from my own experience. So I trained as a coach and went through a basic training, intermediate training, and a certification process, which, by the way, took about 2 years in total. Because it's not only classes, etc., but you also have to have a certain number of practice coaching sessions before you can get your certification. And the coach training programs are very often very generic. So you learn basic coaching skills, you learn things about dealing with powerful emotions, working with intuition, etc. And then when I focused more on coaching in my life and at RSM, for me, what came up was looking at the human condition. So I actually went down the rabbit hole of the neuroscience of coaching. And I think it was probably 3 years after I did my coach training program. And what I did was I did another 5 years of training in the neuroscience of coaching. And I don't actually call it my niche, but it is certainly my specialization. And it comes up in all my coaching sessions, team coaching, group coaching, individual coaching. And so what I learned really serves my client. Within the group of RSM professional associates, what you will find is that the majority of them also have a very a high quality standard coach training program, and some of them will have gone into niches. Some of them followed me down the rabbit hole into the neuroscience of coaching, but there will be others who will typically be working with people with a finance background because their previous life experience or professional experience was in banks or in financial institutions. There are others that focus on women in leadership. And at RSM, we also cater for that through the Erasmus Center for Women in Organizations. So coaching at RSM, our professional associates, what I truly appreciate is that they all have a very general approach to coaching, and that they are flexible and able to go with the flow with each individual coachee that they get. What will happen within the RSM program is that you are put into teams at the beginning of the program. Those teams are assigned a coach, and that coach is also not only your team coach or your group coach, but also your individual coach. And what I really love about coaching at the RSM in the past, I'd probably say 8 to 10 years, we have assigned coaches to teams and individuals in the MBA programs. And although it is very usual to choose your own coach because of a chemistry, I think I could probably say that maybe only 1% of students ever has come back and said, I don't have a click with my coach. And I always put this down to the fact that our coaches know the RSM well, they know the MBA programs, they're experienced in MBA programs. And even if they have their own niche, they are very capable of going with the flow of the individual or the team that's in front of them. So that was a long answer to a short question. I hope it helped clarify for you.
I hope so too. I believe so. And if anyone have any more questions, please feel free. Put it into the Q&A box. I think a lot of you are now putting in the chat box, which I will address them. But also appreciate if you also can put it in the Q&A box. The next question is, yes, questions coming up. What are the advantages of having a coach in the MBA for students?
I think what I'm going to tell you is probably a little bit biased. And I hope the person who asked that question will actually be here in the webinar in 2 weeks' time to ask our alumna, because I think she could probably tell you better than I can. But for me, coaching in MBA is particularly powerful because people who come and do an MBA program are generally in a growth mindset. And that growth mindset is motivated by a question. I'm at a certain place in my life, in my career. I know something, or I feel like something needs to change, but I'm not sure what. And an MBA often gives those answers. It may be that you start your MBA with a certain focus, a certain motivation. You want either a geographical change, or you want a functional area or an industry change. Brilliant. That's absolutely wonderful. But what I always say to people is be open for that to shift during the program, because you're coming into a program with very many like-minded, smart people who have had experiences all over the world. They've had very different functional area experiences, and you may experience something, or you may hear something from somebody else that just intrigues you and makes you curious about whether the focus you have right now is actually the direction you want to go. one of the things that I come across quite a lot in my coaching is that people have made decisions about their bachelor's or their master's, pre-experienced master's, based on what somebody else has told them they're good at, or based on my dad was a banker. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong, but finding out what is intrinsically your passion and purpose is part of what happens during an MBA. So where does coaching come in with that? Well, if you're going through the program and something shifts and you want to spar with somebody about that, sure, you can spar with your friends or your classmates or your family. But what happens there is that everybody in your environment who loves you and who cares about you, obviously, they're always going to have their own agenda. And their answers and their advice are going to be motivated a little bit by their agenda, even though they want what's best for you. Coaching is without judgment. So when you talk to a coach, that coach reserves their judgment. They don't judge anybody on anything. In fact, I always say I leave my judgment at the door. Coaches don't care who you are, what you've done. We look at you as a whole person, as a human being, instead of a human doing. And as we reserve judgment, our questions are motivated by what we're hearing from you. And when you have shifts during the program, or when you learn something new about yourself and your impact on others around you in your MBA team, or with your friends or family, etc., or even if something is upsetting, it can be anything that comes up in your life that you have questions about. If you bring that to coaching, you will get a non-judgmental guidance on where to go with that yourself. And this is why it's so powerful in the MBA educational context, because the growth mindset means you're open to whatever comes up. And the coaching is either a team or an individual moment where you have the opportunity in a low-risk, confidential environment to discover things, to just unpack things that you would otherwise not think about. And that's why I am of the opinion that coaching within an MBA program in particular is very, very powerful.
Thank you so much, Hetty, for the very detailed answer. We have also more questions since I think I see some questions that are more about coaching in the MBA. There are also some questions that are about coaching in general or qualification. So since we are not at the topic of the MBA, let's address those first. The next question will be, how is the schedule? How does it look like with the coaching in RSM? Like the frequency, or the difference between the life coaching and the career coaching?
So the frequency is, in principle, the team coaching is once per module. So the personal leadership development program starts at the beginning of the program. So in the first week, in your orientation week, you'll already have personal leadership development, or PLD as we call it, classes. And the first team coaching session comes quite soon after that and is aligned with what you do in PLD class. There's a second one in module 2 and a third one in module 3. Then you go into the Living Management Project, which is a consulting project that consolidates all the learnings from the core courses in the first part of the program. And there you will have, in a space of 3 weeks, another 6 team coaching sessions. The reason we actually do that high level of frequency is because the Living Management Project can be quite intense. And you can be so fully focused on the content of the project that twice a week you get an hour and a half to just step out and have some fun team building exercises, etc. Otherwise, we know you're not going to do it. And learn a bit more about yourselves as a team and about the processes you work on. So the difference between leadership coaching, we don't call it life coaching at RSM, we call it leadership coaching because it's part of PLD, and career coaching is that your career coaching, although it is focused on you as a whole person and your progress in your professional life, there are additional modalities to career coaching that you wouldn't have in the leadership coaching. So in leadership coaching, we focus on you as a whole person. So your professional life, but also your personal life and how your personal life impacts your professional life. So not only what you do, but who you are. And in the career coaching, obviously it's about what you do and who you are as well. But what you'll find there is the services that are offered to you by our career coaches are not only focused on the individual professional path, but also in teamwork, and advice and workshops are given on how to use LinkedIn properly, how to write your CV, what to do with cover letters, behavioral interview skills, etc. So there is more a focus on the doing with the career coaching, and with the leadership coaching, there is more focus on the being.
Thank you, Hetty. That is another question about the MBA. The next question is also about coaching during the studies. Is the relationship between the coaches and the coachee and the coach limited to the duration of the studies at RSM, or can it be extended beyond that period?
I just realized that I forgot to answer one part of the previous question, and that was about individual coaching throughout the program. You have access to individual coaching depending on the program you're in, between 3 and 6 coaching sessions, and it is up to you when you take them. So they're optional to take, and when you take them is also optional. You can take them up to 3 months after the end of your program within the program. Like for instance, for executive MBA, you'd get 6 coaching sessions and you can take them up to 3 months after the end of the program. Yes, of course, if you've built a great relationship with your coach, you are more than free to continue with them after you have graduated. The only difference is you'll then have to pay them. So within the MBA programs, the coaches are, it's budgeted within your MBA, and it does often happen that, you know, students build up a really good coaching relationship. And I always actually say to my coaches, a coach is for life. Doesn't mean to say that you should never change your coach, because a new coach can bring you new perspectives, because we're all different people. But you're more than welcome to continue if you have built a good relationship with your coach after the program.
Great, good to know. I mean, coaches can have multiple coaches, but can be having a long-term bondings with your coaches.
Absolutely.
The next question is, what are the things, or is there anything that students can do to prepare for the personal leadership coaching? For example, do they have to prepare career plans or any other thing?
I love this question because it's asked of me very often, and the short answer is no. For the leadership coaching, what I love to ask people to do is to turn up where they are in that moment, because coaching is about being in the moment, and be open for anything. So sometimes I'll use a coaching questionnaire so that I can get to know a coachee a little bit, or a little bit of their background beforehand. But in general, and this comes back to the no judgment thing I mentioned earlier. When you come into a coaching session, you're coming in a different place you were at yesterday or the day before. Life changes, things happen, you read something new, something, you know, something happens somewhere in the world and you're impacted by it. So no day is the same as the day that went before. I love the quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, which says, "Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, today is a gift." That's why we call it the present. And that is exactly where coaching happens, in the present. So prep work, for leadership coaching isn't really going to have an impact. What we would often ask people to do is that whatever has happened in the coaching session, to take that away in the future, reflect on it and act on it, if you wish. You know, in coaching, the coachee is always in charge. So whatever comes up in the coaching session, if you've had what we call an aha moment, something that changes for you, something that shifts, to move out and then act on what you've learned, that is always a great thing to see. And then in the following coaching session, we may just reflect on how that's been going. But preparation for coaching is turning up in the moment and being open for anything.
Yeah, I think being open is really a mindset that we can all use for coaching or going to any conversation, meeting new people. This sounds great.
Absolutely.
There are some questions about coaching itself. How long does it take to train as a coach? What are the professional requirements for the qualifications?
The majority of our professional associates are at the level of professional certified coach with the International Coaching Federation. And so that's PCC. If you see PCC behind someone's name, they're a professional certified coach. I'm not sure if I remember off the top of my head, but I do know that, yes, I believe it's 125 training hours plus 500 practice coaching hours. So 625 coach-related training hours in total for the professional certified coach. Having said that, the coaches in our professional coach pool are very well-experienced coaches. The majority of them have also come from corporate and have come to coaching, mid-career or whatever. So they also know your context within work, corporate, not-for-profit or whatever. So they've sort of been there, done that, bought the t-shirt kind of thing. And they have been coaching, I would say, on average 10 to 15 years. But in principle, I know 500 hours of coaching plus 125 coaching hours. It's quite a lot. And, I said earlier, my coach training and professional certified, to get to professional certified coach took me 3 years.
It takes a lot of time to be a certified coach.
Yeah.
The next question is also about the certification, the ICF. Is it something that once you acquire it, you just have to do it once, or do you need to have it renewed periodically? And if it needs to be renewed, like frequency or process?
So that was also something that I really loved about the ICF when we chose to go with the ICF as having as the credential that our coaches should have. You have to renew your credential once every 3 years. And within that 3 years, you have to do an additional 40 hours of continued coach education. So I'm passionate about coaching and I love learning more about coaching. And so it's not hard for me. But what does help is having that motivation to actually learn. And 40 hours over a 3-year period might not sound like much, but when you're working full-time as a coach or wherever, you actually have to sit down and focus. And many coaches actually will take on training programs to get extra certifications. So many of our coaches are not only professional certified coaches for individual coaching, but they have a team coaching credential and certification. They may even have what I discussed earlier, the niche. In my specialization, I'm also a certified neurotransformational coach, and a number of the coaches that work with us are as well. So it's an ongoing process because, every day is a school day. There is always something new to learn. But to put it in succinctly, every 3 years we have to renew our credential and have proven 40 hours of continued coach education.
Great. It's good to see that there are process in place. So the coaches also need to keep themselves updated and keep themselves having the credentials that the coaches can trust them.
Indeed.
Next question, and before we move to maybe the final question, so this is one of the second last. If no one posts more questions, but hey guys, if you still have any more questions, feel free to put in the Q&A box. Okay, we have still a little bit time left. So, where did you study the neuroscience of coaching?
I studied with two specialists in the US, and they run an organization called Be Above Leadership.
All right, thank you. And this one is the last one on my list, and I really like this question. Katie, what makes you decide to move to coaching?
Ooh. Well, interestingly enough, one of my mentors recognized coaching skills in me. Well, in fact, they recognized coaching as a way of life for me, and I had actually never realized. So they encouraged me. They said, "You're such a good coach. Why don't you go get your papers?" And I'm going, "What, me, coach? Pardon? I've got no idea what they're talking about." And this is interesting when it comes to coaching, because this is exactly one of the things that happens in coaching. When you have a non-judgmental person step back and say, "I see this, I observe this, what I'm hearing you saying is this." You've never realized it for yourself, and suddenly there's this mirror that's helping you see yourself in a way you've never seen before. So I didn't realize I was a coach, but when I started my coach training program, my first thought at the end of the first half day was, "I've come home." And if people ask me now why I became a coach, I literally say I was born a coach, because my curiosity for and compassion for other people, plus my number one core value of paying it forward, all comes together in the profession of coaching, and I am passionate about it. And it is my life purpose to help people to be the best they can be.
Great. Great. Maybe one last question from my side. Hattie, do you have any advice to our audience today if they are going to go through any coaching, no matter whether they're going to become a coach or a coachee?
Well, of course, I'm a coach, so I don't give advice, but I'll just step into my mentor shoes. I think the one thing that comes up for me is be open to whatever comes up. That is, the growth mindset, open mindset, and trust yourself. Learn to listen to your own intuition about what's next, but always be open for whatever comes up. So, Carrie, I see we're at the top of the hour. I will click through to our last slide and let you close us out.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Hattie, for having this wonderful session with us, sharing your knowledge, your experience. I think a lot of us are inspired about the benefit of coaching and how coaching can actually help us in different parts in our life. And of course, how coaching is conducted in RSM. On the page itself, we can see the contact details of Hattie's LinkedIn and also the emails of the recruitment and admissions team of the MBA here in RSM. So if you have any questions or thoughts and things you want to share with us, you know how to contact us. And I really appreciate a lot of great questions from the audience today. Thank you so much.
They're absolutely superb questions. Thank you.
Yeah, and we are sharing the recording once this is ready. And don't forget that next week we'll have the second webinar of the coaching section. And it's going to be also next week, Tuesday. Hetty, can I have 10 seconds of a teaser of next week's session or more?
Ooh, yes, 10 seconds.
Or longer.
So I have managed to get our lead faculty for personal leadership development to join me next week to talk about what is personal leadership development, the program in the MBA, and how coaching fits into that, because he and I work together a lot to align the team coaching, particularly to personal leadership development. And he'll talk about the process, about the RSM Leadership Compass, and how this makes a difference in people's lives.
It's wonderful. And I think what I can do to help everyone here in the room to sign up for next session, I'm going to put down the link here in the Zoom chat box. So next week, 18th of June, we will have the next session, Coaching and Personal Leadership Development. Same time on Zoom, please sign up, and then you will get your link to go to the room again. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much again, Hetty, for having this session. Looking forward to the next session with you. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.